Good day, I am Joshua Martin Arabeleda from STEM 12 Batanes. I am here to present and discuss the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of academic track students in Rosario, Batangas. Let's start with context and rationale. The background of the study is online schooling, or most called as online learning, is utilizing electronic technologies to get access educational curriculum. It refers to a course, program, or degree that is completed through online. Presently, online learning is inspiring the world societies at large. In this pr2 era, it is hard to get education in formal mode due to social, economic, or interconnected problems in the society. But everyone has an urge to continue its education within possible means. Online learning makes education flexible because there is no limitation of time and space. The online learning or online schooling is the new way of learning nowadays due to the pandemic. It has affected the students and teachers in the terms of education. It involves technologies which plays the important role in the new way of learning. An online class is a course conducted over the internet. They are generally conducted through a learning management system in which students can view their course, syllabus, and academic progress, as well as communicate with fellow students and their course instructor. Online schools have virtual classes that students can take from home or a library or a coffee shop or anywhere else that has an internet connection. The teachers work remotely and have a structured curriculum for their online students to follow. The evolution of technology is drastically changing the social norms. Educated and undereducated masses use technology frequently for enjoyment and benefits. It is observed that different social media like Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter plays an important role in education. These applications strongly attract students and connected them with different parts of the world. These applications introduce them a variety of new terms of education. One of them is e-learning. E-learner wants to adopt new technologies to learn and to connect with people related to their field of study. It is according to Ansari, Alas, and Guan 2016. Many countries of the world are promoting education through e-learning due to the pandemic, but everyone wants to enhance his or her education at any cost and by means. The reason why I chose to conduct this study is because it is timely and relevant on the situations of the students during this pandemic. This study aims to know and determine the effects of the online schooling to the academic grades of the students. I established this study because I want to know how online learning affects the students and what is the impact of it to their academic grades. Online learning is a mode of learning where students attend to classes through the Zoom meeting, Google Meet, etc. The students can attend wherever and whenever they are as long as they have gadgets and internet connection. Though online learning may sound easy, there are still some factors that affects the students. Not all of the students have a stable internet connections, which is the great factor to be able to attend to their online class, which is one of the reasons why some students' academic grades fall behind. Aside from online learning negative effects to the students, it also have, of course, a lot of positive effects or advantages to students and teachers. Since it is online learning, the students and teachers don't need to go to school to have classes. It is important especially during this time of pandemic. The study will be beneficial to the following. Students. This study will provide information regarding the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of the students. The students will have awareness and be able to cope to the online learning. students can also gain on how to improve their academic performance towards online learning for them to have a better grades. Teachers. The teacher can use this study to gain information to come up with a better way of online schooling and helps understand the student's poor performance and helps them to have a better grades. Researchers. This study can be used by researchers to further expand the information on the effects of online schooling. The researchers may use this study to come up with a better solution for this problem. It is important to deal with this issue since it concerns about the students and it is timely. Some students suffer having a poor grades since they are studying at their home through online where they can focus, can follow to the discussion. They have household chores, a lot of distractions, and poor internet connection. This study aims to determine what and how the online schooling affects the students' academic grades. It also aims to come up with a solution or recommendation for the students to be able to cope up with this learning mode and have a better grades. The teachers and parents can understand the students' condition and help them in their studying. The next one is related studies. One of the related studies is according to Sabir, Ahmad, Ashraf, and Ahmad 2013 Higher Education Commission or HEC. In Pakistan, 70% of the students are registered privately or by distance education programs offered by different universities. Those students who join distance education are also facing problems in attending tutorials and workshops as they live far away from study or examination centers. Many of them stop studying due to many problems they have faced, especially mentioned above. Due to these reasons, students are now focusing on online and e-learning programs as they can easily access their lessons and assignments easily even than their examinations too. The similarities of this study to my study is that it tackles about the advantages of online learning. While the difference of this study to my study is that my study tackles about the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of the students. Although students who take online courses in community colleges tend to be better prepared and more motivated than their classmates, a study by Juswa and Shanna Smith-Jaggars of Columbia University shows that the online format has a significant negative impact on students' persistence in sticking with courses and on their course grades. For the typical student, taking a course online rather than in person would decrease his or her likelihood of course persistence by 7 percentage points. And if the student continued to the end of the course, would lower his or her final grade by more than 0.3 points on a 4-point scale. Before expanding online courses, colleges need to improve students' time management and independent learning skills, the researchers say. The similarities of this study to my study is that it tackles the negative impact of the online learning or online courses on their course grades. While the difference of this study to my study is that my study only focuses on the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of the students, while this study tackles the negative impact of online courses to the students. Human society take a huge leap due to a revolution in the field of information technology and the development of web. The focus of society is shifted from industry to information. Information technology suddenly became an important element of every aspect of our society, and education is no exception from it. It changes every field of education, even it changes the modes of education, and introduces a new mode of education called e-learning. The similarities of this study to my study is that it tackles about the online learning or e-learning. While the difference of this study to my study is that my study focuses on the effects of online learning or online schooling to the academic grades of the students, while this study only focuses on the online learning. Technology rapidly evolved and its innovation have had a positive impact on our daily lives. It also brings a revolution in the field of education and research. E-learning can refer to the situation where the interaction between the students and the teacher is done through online system. Students are received training and taught through online system, and teacher may also in the same building with them. According to Ajadi, Salawu, and Adjoy, 2008. The similarities of this study to my study is it is about online learning or e-learning. While the difference of this study to my study is that my study focuses on the effects of the online schooling or e-learning to the academic grades of the students, while this study only focuses discussing the e-learning. Social interactive education and e-learning are used as modes of education. Social interactive education is known as traditional method of learning where student and teacher have face-to-face interaction, whereas e-learning or open learning is contrary to traditional education as it has some distance between learner and teacher. Students who belong to remote areas or have jobs can get education at their doorstep through e-learning education and enhance their qualification at any time and at any stage of age. By Ansari, 2014. The similarities of this study to my study is that it talks about the advantage of e-learning or online schooling, which is if you are working student, you can attend at your class with the use of only gadgets and internet connection. While the difference of this study to my study is that this study compares the traditional method of learning or face-to-face to the e-learning or online schooling. Let's proceed to research questions. The online learning or online schooling is the new way of learning nowadays due to the pandemic. It has affected the students and teachers in the terms of education. It involves technologies which plays the important role in the new way of learning. This research will discuss the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of general academic students in Rosario, Batangas, which is the general statement. The study focused on the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of the general academic students. This research will discuss the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of academic track students in Rosario, Batangas, which is the general statement. The study focused on the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of the academic track of students. The study focused on the effects of the online schooling to the academic grades of the academic track students or STEM, UMS, and ABM in Rosario, Batangas. Specifically, it aimed to answer the following questions. How does the online schooling affect the academic grades of the student? 2. What has been the hardest part about completing the schoolwork of the student? 3. How difficult or easy it is to students to do the online schooling? 4. What does the effect of online schooling to the students' academic grades? And 5. And last, why does the online schooling affects the students' academic grades? Here are the methods, sampling, and data collection. The method of this study is that This study employed a quasi-experimental quantitative method of research, aims to establish a cause and effect relationship between an independent and dependent variable of the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of academic track students in Rosario, Batangas. This research design aims to measure the causal relationship between variables. Subjects. The size of population of the study is 50 participants from academic track students. Science, technology, engineering and mathematics or STEM, humanities and social sciences or HUMS, and accountancy, business management or ABM in Rosario, Batangas. The sample size for the study is 30. The instrument The main instrument of the study was the survey questionnaires. The survey questionnaires will be answered by academic track students 16 to 18 years old in Rosario, Batangas using multiple choice question that focuses on the effects of online schooling to the academic grades of the academic track students in Rosario, Batangas. Here are the results for SOP1 or Statement of the Problem 1. Based on the pie graph, out of 30 respondents, 14 or 46.7% of them are STEM, 10 or 33.3 are HUMS, and 6 or 20% are ABM. The result for Statement of the Problem 2 or SOP2 is that based on the pie graph, 17 or 56.7% of the respondents are 18 years old. 11 or 36.7% are 17 years old. And 2 or 6.7% are 16 years old. The result for Statement of the Problem 3 or SOP3 is based on the pie graph, 15 or 50% of the respondents are male and 15 or 50% are female. The result of SOP4 or Statement of the Problem 4 is based on the chart. 2 of the respondents answer procrastination higher their grades. 12 of them answer that it does not affect their grades. And 16 of them answer that it lowers their grades. 0 of them answer poor performance higher their grades. 9 of them answer that it does not affect their grades. And 21 of them answer that it lowers their grades. 0 of the respondents answer the poor internet connection higher their grades. 15 of them answer that it does not affect their grades. And 16 of them answer that it lowers their grades. 13 of the respondents answer that it higher their grades because they can focus more on studying. 16 of them answer that it does not affect their grades. And 2 of them answer that it lowers their grades. 12 of the respondents answer that it higher their grades because they can't really search in Google for answer. 18 of them answer that it does not affect their grades, and 0 of them answer that it lowers their grades. 12 of them answer that it higher their grades because they can easily attend to their class. 16 of them answer that it does not affect their grades, and 2 of them answer that it lowered their grades. The result for Statement of the Problem 5 or SOP5 is based on the bar graph. Out of 30 respondents, 17 or 56.7% of them answer they can do a self-study. 17 or 56.7% of them answer having poor connection. 25 or 83.3 of them percent 25 or 83.3 of percent of them answer they can focus because of the surroundings. 27 or 90% of them answer they have household core routines. 28 or 93.3% of them answer there are lot of distraction. 18 or 60% of them answer the activities is hard. And 22 or 73.3% of them answer lack of discussion about the lesson. The result of SOP6. The result of SOP6 or statement of the problem 6 is based on the pie graph. Out of 30 respondents, 18 or 60% of them answer that it depends. 6 or 20% of them answer that it is very difficult. 4 or 13.3% of them answer that it is difficult. And 2 or 6.7 of them answer that it is easy. The result for statement of the problem 7 or SOP7 is based on the pie graph. The effect of online schooling to the academic grades of the 30 respondents are 12 or 40% of them answer that they tend to have a higher grade. 9 or 30% of them answer that it did not affect their grades. And 9 or 30% of them answer that it lowered their grades. The result of SOP8 or statement of the problem 8 is that based on the bar graph, the online schooling affects the academic grades of the respondents. Out of 30, based on the bar graph, the online schooling affects the academic grades of the respondents. Out of 30 respondents, 16 or 53.3% of them answer that it is because of it mentally and physically affects them. 11 or 36.7% of them answer that it is because they can focus in this mode of learning. 11 or 36.7% of them answer that it is because they tend to have a poor performance. And 8 or 26.7% of them answer that it is because they can easily attend and catch up to the class. Conclusions. The students' academic grades become slower because of procrastination, poor performance, and poor internet connection. Even if they can focus more on studying, freely search in Google for answer, and easily attend their class, it still does not affect their academic grades. 2. Most of the senior high school students in Rosario, Batangas have lot of distractions as their hardest part about completing their schoolwork. Next to it is they have a household core routine, and the least hardest part for them are they can't do a self-study and they have poor internet connection. This means that most of the students can do a self-study and have a internet connection, but still some of them can't do a self-study and have a poor connection. Conclusion for the SOP3 is the difficulty or ease of online schooling is it depends for most of the senior high school students, since sometimes it is mainly because some activities are hard or easy, or some the conclusion for SOP4 is the effect of online schooling to the academic grades of most senior high school students is they tend to have a higher grade. The result of the conclusion for SOP number 5, the online schooling affect the academic grades of most senior high school students because it mentally and physically affects them. It is mainly because the online schooling, it is mainly because some students cannot catch up to the discussion due to poor connection, and it greatly affects them and cause them to be stressed, while it physically makes them tired because they have a lot of work to do at their house and they have to attend the class. Recommendations. Recommendation. The students must avoid procrastination, having a poor performance, and having poor internet connection for them to have a higher academic grade. Number 2. The students must be given a proper personal learning space to lessen the distractions on the students. Number 3. It is good for the students since it, it is good for the students since it is balanced. Their schoolwork should be sometimes hard and sometimes easy. But for the others who have difficulties in online learning, the teachers should approach them for the students to be able to cope with new learning mode. Number 4. Some students have a higher grade because they have the advantages. It should be fair for all of them since some students have slow or poor internet connection or have a lot of distractions. Number 5. The teachers and parents must guide the students properly. They should always approach them and ask them if they can or cannot. They should give them at least a little rest and cheer them up for the students to have a physical and mental rest. Here are the references of this study. Here are the references that I use for this study. Thank you. Thank you.